What is up, everyone? Welcome to this episode of TheMuscleGalaxy. I'm joined by
Adrian.
Adrian, also goes by Artuso Performance. I'm your host, Hami Fakihi, also known as TheMuscleJedi, and we're just gonna get into this. I've followed Adrian for quite a while. I followed him when he had around 400 or 500 followers on Instagram, and he's about to hit 2.2, 2.3.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah,
Probably.
and I've been a big fan of his content, and I always appreciate like minds. And I study in Western, so we're not that far away during the school year. You're from Vaughan, Toronto?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
went to George Brown. I don't know if you know that college.
I've heard of the name, but
I
I don't
actually went
know
to school
anyone.
for construction engineering.
Okay,
I
very
don't
nice.
know how that works.
Yeah. Did you work in construction?
I did briefly. My brother has
Okay,
like a contracting business.
okay, nice.
So I used to do a lot of like demo and then even like landscaping. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'd be doing like snow removal. I still do it for fun. We
Yeah,
got a little like ATV, we push some snow. You make okay money, but it's more
yeah.
like something to do.
One sec. I'm gonna dilute my electrolytes. They're super sweet.
I got my electrolytes here.
What do you
I use honestly, I just use salt and potassium. I
so
used to buy
why is
biotin.
it brown?
No, I was just joking. This is AMW.
Diet?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's one of my favorite drinks. So I guess we'll get into it. So I think the thing that we most have in common seems to be the way we train. So let's get into what are some topics you've noticed are very like popular on social media right now that like everyone seems to talk about.
I think it's a lot of like just split obsession, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
like if people were as concerned with their nutrition as and like their execution, and obviously intensity is like everyone tries to
Mm-hmm.
train, like people would actually have proper results instead of focusing
Yeah.
on such minute details within splits. Like you can be the biggest retard in the world and train like a meathead and then they still grow. Then like the sciencey, like, oh, I gotta figure out everything, they somehow completely neglect probably the largest part of building a physique, which is like the nutrition aspect. So like you
Mm-hmm.
see like these popular whatever TikTokers or people on Instagram you see super obsessive with the split and oh, I got to do full body every day. This is the most optimal split. I need to have 3 times a week frequency. Frequency matters more than volume. And then they'll post like whatever they're eating, and it's like, the hell is that? How do you think you're gonna like? How's you optimize every little thing within training?
Mm-hmm.
Training's fun, but then when it comes to the thing you're actually not enjoying and the thing that's gonna bring you the most results, you kind of neglect and overlook. And it's interesting because like you'll see creators like even I don't know what the guy's name is. His name's like Mundy or something. I don't know
Elijah
if
Mundy.
yeah, yeah. He made a video saying like nutrition doesn't really matter. Like if you're just a normal body fat, that's all that matters. But then you look at someone who goes to the gym for years, how are they going to lose the weight if they're not actually looking into their diet and tracking things properly?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to tell that person that, oh yeah, nutrition doesn't really matter, just eat healthy and you'll lose the weight. People eat healthy and then they're still severely obese.
Yeah, I like the nutrition comment because I think a lot of people within, so like there's this whole thing that like bulking is vaulted, which is the dumbest thing ever said because, and it's like, it's very interesting to me, right? Like people will take a concept that's been around for decades. And by the way, bodybuilding has not advanced since the 80s. Like there was I saw this photo. There was a guy in the 70s putting his arm against like a stick and doing dumbbell extensions. And it's like none of this is new. It's
Yeah.
just being distributed more widely. Let's say people are adopting it more often now. When people say something like oh bulking is vaulted, it's a very close-minded thing to say cuz like if you just look at history and anecdotal experience and evidence, which in my opinion is way more valuable than scientific evidence, it clearly says otherwise. And on top of that, this whole bulking is vaulted is I think it comes from people's obsession of just wanting to be lean year round. And then you have certain creators saying, oh, lean is the most optimal state of sensitivity and that's going to help you grow. And it's like, sure, maybe for a certain period, but to push a certain amount of muscularity, you'll have to push body fat because that's the only way you will extend your recovery variables available to you because you'll be able to eat more, weigh more. When you weigh more, you're able to move more weight. Like it's a very logical equation, and
Yeah.
you don't have to go all PubMed to realize it. Yet, all these people are saying this, and like at the end of the day, this doesn't really hurt people like me and you who've been training for a few years. We have experience, whatnot. It hurts the guy who just wants to lift a weight for the first time, and there's like all these like a million things, right? And it's like it's very interesting because the people who care the most about this stuff never want to compete. So it's like if you're not even gonna if you're not even planning to take it to the highest level, why are you in a position where you can tell me what to do, where you can tell me this is right and wrong? It's like we forget that this is about being big and looking good and not about being smart. Which
Yeah.
is, there's a lot of jack bodybuilders who are extremely dumb people, but they're still more jacked than these nerds.
Like the way I always looked at training is, although I never had like aspirations to like compete or step on stage, it was always I want to do this as efficiently as possible to get the best results in the
Mm-hmm.
shortest time frame.
Yeah.
Not caring about like the sacrifices you have to make temporarily. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
every day I want to show up with 100% intensity, with 100% direction to get to this end goal as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Some people might not say that that's the best thing to do, even if it takes like an extra year or longer to enjoy the process a lot more. That's what I wanted to do. And a lot of people, they want to take this long route and they think it's the same. When you're 150 pounds and you're stepping into the gym and you think that you're just going to maintain your abs and you're just going to slowly grow, when you have more fat on your frame, I'm not saying you have to be 20% body fat, but like pushing it up a decent amount, your leverages change. You have more insulation on your joints, your shoulder is thicker, weight is gliding. You mean to tell me that rate of progression where you're getting stronger, you have that much more tension on the muscle you're using, you're not going to grow more than if you're just making these like tiny micro adjustments. And yeah, maybe muscle on like a day-to-day basis, you're having like grams of growth, but you don't think that it's going to be more when you have like that much more progression within your training to then dial
Mm-hmm.
back and then still progress in your training. Like you're not going to cut and lose like even 20% of your strength. Like you continuously grow while you're cutting as well.
Yeah.
You don't lose your strength. So yeah, you get up to maybe 15, 16% body fat, but then when you start cutting back, it's not like you just lose that strength. Like you're not seeing that same rate of growth than if you were to just, I don't know, try to maintain 10% body fat, even leaner. I see guys. It's just
Mm-hmm.
this obsession with wanting to look amazing all the time. And it's just not viable for a lot of people.
I've coached some people where it's almost impossible for them to adopt this concept. And I just have to tell them, like, this is what I believe. This is what's going to get you to your best physique. If you don't believe in this, we're not working together. like, you, like sometimes you have to do that because it's, and this is where I guess the more pageantry side of like aesthetics and bodybuilding really gets to people. It's like a lot of these fitness influencers straight up act like women, dude. Like posting pictures of themselves, colorful food on their stories all the time, extremely emotional responses, sunset photos. Like you close your eyes, that's a
I
girl.
like some sets.
Yeah, I like sunsets too, but like if you're having a sunset photo and like don't even get me started when we were talking when you mentioned about like nutrition, I think that even these science-based guys, if you just look at what they eat, even if it's healthy, their taste buds are destroyed. Like they'll be eating stuff like I saw a guy have maybe this is good. I'm not willing to try it. Strawberries, avocados, rice, beef, peanut butter, and Splenda.
I think I know who you're talking about. I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
say,
yeah. Yeah. The posing coach.
yeah,
And like I've been following him for a while and he's changed quite a bit.
yeah,
The money got to his head.
yeah.
But yeah, no, like I saw that and I was like By the
I
way,
think
like I was
it's
so
so
into
weird.
the animal based thing like a year and a half ago, my training suffered.
Yeah, you need
Even
carbs.
when I ate the same amount of calories that I needed to, because like when you just get that much carbs from fruits and honey, it takes way longer to turn into glycogen. Way more. Because it's fructose based too. That plays a huge role.
You
But
just don't
yeah,
feel the same.
no, you don't.
And again, it's like the better your pumps are, your leverages are a lot better. Your strength
Hmm.
is better. Your joints are insulated. You actually have
Yeah.
fluid. When you're all like stiff and dry and depleted, and you're just eating animal products and you're in keto all the time, like your training performance really suffers.
Yeah, and I've always noticed that the days where if I get a tiny bit of pain, it's the days that like I'm flat. It's the days I didn't have enough water before the gym or the day before. People forget how important the day before is for today's workout. Like a majority of your pump is going to come from yesterday, not today. Like you can't wake up and just have 2 liters of water, a spoon of salt, and honey because your ancestors told you so, and then like walk in the gym and boom. Like and like a lot of people. I mean, what do you think about the whole like? I don't think chasing the pump is necessarily a good idea, but to say the pump does nothing or that it's not important, I think is also a very foolish thing to say.
You have to push strength, but the pump is important. The pump is one of the biggest indicators that your nutrition is in line with your goals. If you're not having like insane pumps as you're in like these growth phases, you're not going to have the most insane pumps when you're depleted for, I don't know, 6 weeks straight,
Mm-hmm.
have no refeeds, you're low carb, that's normal. You're not going to have insane pumps. But if you're pushing food and then like your pumps suck,
Mm-hmm.
you're not having enough water most likely, you're not having enough carbs, or the way you're structuring where you're having your carbs is either you're having way too much in your pre-workout meal or like it's just scattered out through the day, your fats are all over the place. It's an indicator that there's something going wrong within your nutrition. So to just overlook that and say, yeah, you go in the gym and you do 4 reps of a bicep curl and you can leave after doing 5 sets and then that's just as effective for growth. It's just it's gotten to a point where it's just getting in the gym and getting out, but not achieving anything. Like you're making these like you could be making so much more progress, but it's the fact that it's all about just minimal
Yeah.
effort and just trying to get out as soon as possible. What happened to actually going to the gym and enjoying it?
This is gonna piss people a lot of people off, what I'm gonna say. Science based training, you know why it's so popular?
It's
Because it's
easy.
so much easier. So much easier. It's so much easier to go walk around with your little gym pin on the leg extension, get 5 reps. Because when you do leg extension low rep set, it's a completely different exercise than when you do 10.
Easy.
You have no burn. You just go, lock out, standardize your form. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying that every rep range has its place. But the reason science based training, by the way, I built like 60-70% of my physique on the 1 to 2 set thing. It works. But looking back, the reason it worked for me, my eccentrics were like 7 seconds long, 5 seconds long. I would throw in rest pauses, I would do partials. All this stuff technically equals extra sets. Like, even like Dorian Yates, everyone says, oh, he was a 1 set guy. No, he wasn't. His logbook had 3 to 4 set work. And it's like, science based training, in my opinion, it's like the low rep stuff and all this and that and the obsession. I love how stretch feels, but I think it's not everything
Yeah.
either. I think like nothing's everything. It's a combination of all combined.
Everything is balanced. Like it's so hard to say one thing because then like for my clients, for example, if I say you need to slow down your rep, and then now they have like you said, like a 7
Yeah,
second centric, like okay, now that's another extreme.
yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's too slow. Then it's but I thought you said slow. So it's always finding like this perfect
Hmm.
balance between everything. And there's this middle ground that you need to find with
Yeah.
every concept that you hear, even progressive overload. People understand that's an important concept. You need to be progressively getting stronger over time, but they take that and they run with it. They're adding like 2.5 pound plates, 5 pound plates every session, and that's just not possible to be growing that fast the later you've been working out. I don't care how you structure your training.
Hmm.
If you're able to add another 10 pounds to your leg extension and then your range of motion is like this and it's suffering and you don't lock out, like you said, like doing the
Yeah.
low rep stuff is easy. Like I've seen guys do leg extension. They won't even lock out. The whole point of the movement is to shorten the
Yeah.
quad. They don't even take advantage of it.
Hmm.
One of the only movements that does it.
Yeah.
And then they just stay in the stretch position and they just do these half reps. But I'm doing 10 more pounds than I did last week. So it's like you have to take progressive overload. You have to take these concepts and then find balance between all of them. It's so hard to just look at one thing black and white and say, this is the way you should do it. And then you just neglect every other aspect of building a physique, which is like what most of these guys are doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I really love that point you made. And it reminds me of like there's like some unspoken rules. Like, I don't know if you're like, when I started training, like every tutorial I would see with RDL was like slow eccentric. And I was like, it's like, oh, I would do fast on everything, but if I did RDL slow eccentric. So it's almost like weird not to do those things, like not to slow down on your RDL, or like not to capitalize on like bending your elbow and overhead. And like, don't get me wrong, the stretch, contraction, it's all really important, all of it. But like, there are some exercises where you have to do it because the exercise only works if you do it. Like, and now by the way, you know why people love the whole move the seat back on the leg extension and lean back? And they say, oh, it's more rectus femoris bias, is more lengthened. No, you can use way more weight that way. Way more. I could.
You should see how they do it. They lean back, their
Mm-hmm.
ass lifts up, they
Yeah.
drop, and then everything
Yeah.
explodes. But yeah, it's more stretch, but you're not using leverages to just fly up weight and then not even be able to lock out.
So I've my recent obsession has been arm development. I've always had good arms, more biceps. But one thing I realized, like, not that many people with, at least naturals, not that many people with crazy arms. Why do you think that is?
I just don't think they treat them the same as everything else. Like it's such a small muscle, but then
Yeah.
they treat it like that and they do whatever, two sets at the end of a
Hmm.
workout. How do you expect to grow when you have such minimal volume for that arm? It's like the same concept with like front delt training. People say you don't need to do any isolated front delt
Hmm.
exercises. You get more than enough in chest pressing. Like I fallen victim to that, and then guess what happened?
Yo, me too.
Guess what happened to my
Me
shoulders?
too.
They didn't grow. Guess what happened when I increased volume and I treated them like everything else and I actually gave them the attention that they deserved? They grew.
Do you
So
notice a difference when your front delt grows specifically? What type of illusion did it create for like the shoulder?
separation between
Ah,
like the upper
yeah.
pec this, like you have
Yeah.
distinct lines where before it kind of just sank into it, where it just kind
Yeah.
of blended in. So now you have like cuts, striations, you can see separation front delt, side delt, where
Yeah.
before it's just kind of like the less muscle you have in a certain area, like even when you get leaner, it doesn't have the same look. Like it's not
Yeah.
gonna have those like deep cuts that you want by having that whatever,
Yeah.
you're gonna
Now
hit
this
it.
is one of my favorite topics. Sorry to interrupt, but is like, so I learned this the really hard way. I got lean last year, like pretty lean, because like I've always had crazy quads. So I had lines in my quads, lines in my stronger body parts. Like the skin on my bicep was super thin, like the freakish one. But then I didn't have abs. And I'm like, oh, they're a muscle. I gotta train them. And I've been blasting them this year. I do 40 sets of abs a week. And half of those sets are body weight, half are loaded. But I got to higher body fats and I had more visible abs than I did peak cut. And I was like, it's very fascinating how like muscle size works, because the good thing is if you're jacked, you also don't have to be as lean to look as lean. So you feel better too.
Yeah.
You don't have to suffer as much. Like, if I wanted to see the full six pack, God knows what muscle I would have had to give up at that point. Because, like, I wasn't going to get there without sacrificing something.
I was the same way. I always used to think
Yeah.
that like your abs get hit enough by bracing for compound movements, so I'm just
Yeah.
not abs. Then you start getting lean, and it's like, okay, I have like shoulder veins, like
Yeah.
my bicep, I'm having veins here.
Yeah.
I'm even having like veins on the upper chest. I have what's it called? Veins like coming down my leg at the
Yeah.
top, but no abs. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
like my abs haven't grown. There's no muscle there. There's nothing to reveal. So then,
Yeah.
like, you start panicking, like, okay, I actually gotta, like, everything
And
that I
there's
was
no quick
taught.
fix for that. And it's like, it really hurts when it happens. Like, because, like, most people cut down to see their abs. 99.9% of people. Like, the idea of cutting down and not having abs makes cutting almost unappealing.
Yeah,
Because it's such a I don't know, such an eye-catching muscle to have, and it just adds like depth and like respect to a physique, it's like. And I mean, even if you look at some of the best bodybuilders, like especially in open, the ones who are usually look really good, they have crazy midsections.
yeah.
Like Hadi, crazy midsection. The
It's the
reason Nick looks
Persian
super
genetics.
conditioned is because
Those Persian
he
genetics are
trains it.
nuts.
What's up?
Those Persian genetics,
Yeah, dude.
crazy.
Yeah.
Do you ever see Persians? There's a lot that go to my gym.
I'm Persian, dude.
Bro, you
Yeah.
guys got the best genetic potential in the world.
Do you want to know my theory behind it?
Go
So,
ahead.
I mean, let's be honest. Every immigrant, according to their uncle or dad, have warrior genetics. It's like, I'm sorry, like, you can't tell me, like, the brown dude at, like, Anytime Fitness Mississauga has warrior genetics. Like, he's been skinny fat for 7 years.
Yeah.
Like, he's tried everything. But, like, what I do think it is, like think it's so if you look at certain ethnicities, I notice Italians are similar because Sicilians are originally descent of Arabs, I believe. So they're of darker complexion, whatever, but like ambiguous races, so like Lebanese, Persian. I think it's because there's a combination of like race genetics in one pool.
Yeah.
That's why. Now, one thing I learned about like black genetics like about a year or two ago, and it's like scientifically it's a very valid argument. Have you heard it?
I don't know like the exact science
Yeah.
behind it, but like even when I was growing up, like I've had I this black kid was my best friend, and
Yeah.
he's the fastest out of the whole school. He ate whatever. This guy ate now that I'm looking back at it and I have understanding about nutrition, this guy used to order, what the hell's it called? It's like the Subway foot long with those like meatballs in it. He's like gross.
Marinara sub.
This guy would have two of those every single day for lunch. You get them dropped off. And this guy would be like the fastest person in the school.
Yeah.
Shredded six pack, cap delts. We're in grade five. I don't know what this guy's doing walking around with a shredded six pack. And he's like like a triathlete. He's just amazing at any sport we play. Doesn't matter if it was playing for the first time or not. Genetically gifted in all aspects of life. And then you like acknowledge it, like this guy is black. This guy's just genetically gifted, and it's like you can't say that. It's like, but
Yeah.
why
Now.
is it any different if I say you're genetically gifted because you have like these genetics
Hmm.
for like a Persian or
Yeah.
something else, like something that your race is specifically good for, like with Asian genetics, you usually see that their muscle bellies are less full. Um,
Especially on the back.
yeah, like there's
Like,
certain attributes
yeah.
for certain
They
races.
all have crazy legs
Yep,
because they have short
there you go.
femurs. So
Yep,
almost anything they do grows their quad.
like there's always like a certain attribute or look to certain races, and to just like throw that up in the air and say
Yeah. And
nothing, it doesn't matter.
you
It's
know
like
what's very interesting? I was talking to my brother about this. So, and maybe you'll have your own version of this. I grew up eating pasta here and there. But when I eat a lot of pasta, I don't feel that good. But I ate a lot of rice growing up because I was Persian, and like if I wasn't eating Persian food, I was eating some sort of Middle Eastern food because I'm like from Dubai. So like we had to have Persian food, Arabic food, Indian food, Asian food, all rice. I really think there's a genetic and like cultural, environmental component to like nutrition too. Cause like I feel horrible when I eat pasta, but like I heard Italians, it's like not even noticeable. Like I feel horrible when I like
for me, I
my
can't
skin
handle it.
gets warm. Yeah. Like, you know that feeling when you have McDonald's, your skin gets warm and sticky and
I'm so genetically prone to acne. The
yeah.
littlest thing I do, immediately I notice
Hmm.
like a reaction. Even though people just are so blind to that, they just don't understand any concept behind nutrition and how it affects your gut.
Yeah.
I've seen one guy, he's pretty popular on TikTok. I keep
What's
seeing
his
his
name?
videos. Honestly, I'm not sure, but he makes those like right, right, right. I don't know if you ever seen that video.
JP lifts weight.
Yeah, that guy, I keep seeing videos. He's like talking about how seed oils aren't inflammatory or inflammatory foods
Yeah.
don't exist, kind of just sit, but they do exist. So it's like people, you have like this approach to nutrition where it's very simplified and then not under like not allowing there to be nuance behind nutrition to just like, yep, anything you say
Mhm.
past this, even though it doesn't apply to everybody, is just like doesn't mean anything. But like if I eat gluten, for most people, gluten, dairy in excess, they're all going to be like some inflammatory markers, whether you can notice them or not. For most people, in excess. So like all these different things play a factor, especially in like how you're breaking down foods, digesting. Like you don't want to eat a
Yeah.
meal, feel like you got to take a
Yeah.
or a nap. So it's kind of optimizing for that stuff too.
Yeah. Like for example, okay, so like going like the seed oil thing, right? It's like it's again, this is like it's such a shame that we give like these like, you know, these creators so much power because one thing is like don't forget to just trust yourself. You know, like yeah, because they say
Yeah.
seed oils are technically poly and monounsaturated fats, and these are like the anti-inflammatory fats, and they can help like be catalysts for antioxidant production and everything. But it's not that simple because by that logic, it's like post workout. Like I like to have like a nice sweet treat post workout if I ever have one. But that doesn't mean it's healthy because you need it post workout. By that same logic that like, oh, it's poly and mono. It's like it's not the structure of the food. It's how it's produced, the way it's hydrogenated, the way it's processed. That's why it's called processed foods. For example, if you have normal oats versus the Quaker brown sugar strawberry oats, pretty big difference.
Yeah.
Pretty big difference. Even there's some stuff like even I've noticed like a lot of people will complain about like let's say digestion and they'll have like a lot of water-based foods. They'll be having like oats all the time. They'll be having like cream or rice. Like per like 1 part cream of rice is like 4 parts water. Because I'm cutting, I'm never having that much, right? But like there's so many things that are like just you have to step back and be like, okay, like objectively what's in front of me? Like forget the rules, forget what Google is telling me, forget what this scientific creator is saying, forget what Andrew Huberman said last week. Because by the way, even the people at the top, and listen, we all change our minds. We all change our opinions. So but there's a few ground principles that like always apply. But it's like 3 years ago, it was 1.5 grams of creatine. Then it was 5 grams. And then now it's 12 grams for the brain. And guess who's the person benefiting from all of this? The creatine companies. We're just spending more money. Now, it is true. It is technically better for the brain. But if you just notice how like the cycle works and how it always like loops, in a few years they're gonna say 1.5 again, then it's gonna go back, right? And like the new thing right now seems to be like I mean I think it's dying a bit. I think people are waking up, but like people really push the carnivore ancestral diet thing. People really push that.
And you see the people that push that too, like you see they slowly start to kind of backtrack a little bit and they start
Mm-hmm.
incorporating more carbs. They start incorporating more fruit.
They'll be like,
And
oh
it's,
no, I actually, but then they'll justify, I actually found out rice doesn't have that many oxalates. And
yeah,
rice is the cleanest, like Paul Saladino, or I think it was Paul Saladino, where he just started saying how like rice is good again and he doesn't mind bread. Like, I'll say sourdough bread is amazing. Like, I feel great when I eat it. Uh, like, I make like a protein French toast here and there with like white bread, plain white bread. It'll feel okay. But there's some things like I'm still trying to figure out myself, where it's I'll eat a certain meal and I'll like get sleepy even if I do my post meal steps or whatever I can to like offset the sugar spike. and then I'll forget that like that happened. I'll eat the same meal like 3 4 times. Like I'm starting to get better like that. So like one thing is how would you, I assume like because you work with all kinds of clients, so how do you teach people that awareness of what is health in eating? How do you teach that, and how do you teach self-awareness of healthy eating?
The main principles behind understanding if a food is good for you or not, how your body breaks it down. Look at your stool, number one.
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly having runny or loose stools.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with what you're eating. If you eat something and your stomach hurts, you should not be eating that. I don't
Yeah.
care who made your plan, what bodybuilder made your plan, get it out of your
Yeah.
diet. Or at least until like your gut lining is repaired enough that you could
Yeah.
slowly reintroduce it. But a lot of people, they're so fixated on like bodybuilder foods. I need to be eating this because my bodybuilder coach put this in my plan. Because a lot of these guys, as jacked as they are, you have to understand they don't know everything. Nobody knows everything.
Yeah.
Like there's certain things that you're gonna have to take a deep dive into yourself and try to figure it out because a doctor won't be able to tell you for most things. Your coach is not gonna be able to tell you if they're not specialized in a certain thing. And you're just gonna assume it's out of my control. The people that I trust don't know about it, so it must not be fixable. When it's not the case. Almost everything is fixable, but you have to do your own due diligence and figure out what works for you. And then be collaborative with the people that you trust to then share your insight on it and what you've learned
Mm-hmm.
so that they can adjust accordingly. Like if you're on, I don't know, you're on a certain heart medication and that interferes with this, you have to communicate that with your coach. Your bodybuilding coach is not going to be a doctor as well.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a physiotherapist.
Yeah.
He's not going to be all these things. So you have to understand that there's like they specialize in one
Mm-hmm.
thing. You can't look at one person for all your source of information. No one is perfect. And like you
Mm-hmm.
said before, people change their opinions. I've changed my
Mm-hmm.
opinions on so many things. Does that mean I'm a not credible source of information? Not necessarily.
I think it makes you a more credible source
Yeah,
because of the honesty and willingness to learn.
you have to be constantly like adjusting what you currently know to like a new landscape. For a lot of people, they're set in their own ways. They have an ego. I know everything. There's no more to learn. And then that's not the case. So then people get hurt as a consequence. So when you're a bodybuilding coach and you're seeing your client start to have like cyst, like I've dealt with so much cystic acne, and if I incorporate a food that I know that is more likely to cause inflammation and cause cystic acne within people, and I continue pushing that to the
Mm.
client, I think that's like a moral obligation as well. Like you have to understand like your bodybuilding client coach, it's not just the physique that matters. Side note, well, how their body's breaking down these food. If they're having cysts, they're not getting the best result from the diet, number one. So it needs to change regardless. But if you're not actually caring about your client and outside of the gym, outside of everything, this person's confidence is going to be ruined. You don't want them to have all these problems to the point where they might end up leaving your coaching. They might think you did such a good job, their physique got better, but then they have all these long lasting issues that they didn't even know where it came from. And they probably won't even blame you. But it's
Mm-hmm.
just like this moral thing that a lot of people just don't care. They
Yeah.
don't like take a deep dive into learning more to even help their clients. It's just like, yeah, I only stick to this. I only do bodybuilding. I'm just gonna keep
Yeah.
giving my client whatever. For me, it was egg whites. There's like a protein within the egg whites. It's called albumin that is notorious for blocking like lymphatic systems. So if you look at a chart of like lymph nodes and where it drains, it starts here in the jaw. So by me having a certain amount of egg whites, immediately I start getting like these massive cysts.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say that egg whites are a bad thing. I include them in a lot of my diets for my clients because it's
Mm-hmm.
not the same person to person. But if I see certain things like they start breaking out in
I'm
that
just
certain
gonna write
area,
this down real quick. I didn't
oh,
know
you're
that.
good.
That's very cool.
You're good.
Yeah.
When I start to see these things happen in my clients and their skin starts breaking out, so okay, we got to pull that back because that's like a known inflammatory trigger. Or even gluten, like even sourdough. You said it doesn't. You feel good
Mm-hmm.
eating it. Sourdough, the the like bacterial process behind making sourdough, the starter,
Mm-hmm.
some of the gluten content, but for
Yeah.
some people who are still super sensitive like
Yeah.
myself, if
Yeah.
I eat sourdough, I still have a reaction. I still
My
have like
my
inflammatory
I
markers.
have a friend who's like that. Yeah.
So like some people are so sensitive to certain things, and you shouldn't look at everybody from a broad spectrum like I can't have dairy, I can't have this, I can't have that, so no one else can have this. I don't think that's the right way to look at it, but having a good understanding of this person or like what is the most sensitive case scenario where this person can have an adverse reaction, have that understanding to be able to then have like a more lenient diet and then pull back if necessary, if digestion, their stools are terrible, their energy sucks, they just feel sluggish, tired all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like bodybuilding is not a healthy thing regardless of what you're doing. If you're eating 6 times a day, you're having carbs in every single one of your meals, you're not going to feel the best. You're going to feel a little bit tired pushing that much food regardless. But it's within that to try to like make it as comfortable as possible
Yeah.
because you're already doing damage. You don't want to be doing more damage. So finding out what works for that specific person with your understanding of, hey, this is the worst possible scenario, what can go wrong, and taking that and applying it to other people when needs to happen, you know?
Mm-hmm. Some people don't even know like how holistic our job is. It's like we don't just send a training plan and send a meal plan and then we just like, keep bugging the client until they follow their plan and then boom, they paid for accountability. It's like, what are you gonna do when they hurt themselves and then you find out their left knee moves a bit differently and that needs to be addressed? What are you gonna do when something happens in the relationship and their head's just not in the game? Like it's a very hands-on, holistic and personal job. Like
Yeah,
my best clients, I would say I coach them outside of the gym too, just in so many different aspects. Because I guess I see an older version of myself in them or something like that.
100%.
And there's like a relatability aspect. But like, yeah, it's super important. Troubleshooting is super important because, for example, I have my client Sarah, who I'm prepping for her show. She pulled out caffeine and she wouldn't even drink that much. I'm not into caffeine personally. I actually got back into. Do you drink quite a bit?
For me,
See,
I like
I don't know why, but it
gotta be
affects.
sharp.
See, but this is very interesting. Is I can say all this like, oh, it's anti-adenosine, whatever, but like, it just really affects me more than the average person. Like, I had a cup of tea yesterday, first thing in the morning before training. Dude, in the car, my heart was like, cup of tea, like, and like that normally never happens, right? So like, I realized like, this is something like maybe I'll enjoy the cup of tea every now and then. But like today was my first day in like 2 weeks without any tea. And that's like my only source of caffeine, like 20, 30 milligram. But like, she was having a black coffee a day. And dude, I'm not even kidding. Like cup of tea at like 2 p.m. I wouldn't sleep at 3 a.m. Like it was crazy. Like
That's
I'm
not
super sensitive. Cause I went from 2, 3 scoops of pre-workout, like trained by JP, like I don't know, whatever it's called, like sour cherry flavor, like 200 milligrams of caffeine, 2.5 scoops of that, 5 times a week. Not knowing how it's like digging a brutal like hole of
so
fatigue,
wait,
but
you were doing one scoop is 200 milligrams?
I would most of the time I'll do 200 milligrams, but I would sometimes do the 3, 400 if I was tired. So once, twice a week, I do 3, 400, or I would have the pre workout and then I would do like two diet sodas as a pick me up later in the night. And so my client Sarah did this and she pulled it out, right? And she was just having one coffee a day. That's it, one coffee, and then her post workout meal, she would have a diet Pepsi. And it seems very simple on the outside, right? But then I'm like, that's very interesting. You finished training at like 1. So why are you having the diet Pepsi then? You had your coffee at like 11. Start to realize she's just trying to, it's like trying to hide the fact that she's in like a fatigue hole. So she used a diet Pepsi subconsciously as a pick me up, not even knowing it. Then I mentioned that to her. She's like, yeah, that does make a bit of sense. Because to me, diet Pepsi is like a nighttime thing. Because it just like, I like to save the yummy stuff for later in the day because then I'm craving it more, so it's more rewarding. And we pulled out the caffeine, and she had like severe withdrawal symptoms. Like, it's like, it's tiny stuff like that where personal trainers just don't know this stuff.
Yeah.
Your Camfit CPR course can't fix that. And it's like,
Bro, I'm not even certified.
are you? No, no, not you. I'm just saying the hypothetical part. I'm not. I did precision nutrition, which is like the standard, but I'm not certified as a personal trainer because I don't think you need it unless you
No,
want to work in a
really
gym.
don't.
But again, like once you get into coaching, I'm sure you know the time to money return on coaching is far higher than personal training. But so is the effort. You have to put in a bit more effort. Your knowledge has to be much higher. And kind of transitioning into this, why do you think, like, have you noticed how many personal trainers don't know what they're talking about?
Most of them.
Why do you think that is?
I think the barrier to entry is just so low that anybody can just get a personal. I think it's the
Yeah.
people with authority. So people, even with schooling, like people with doctorate degrees, there's this huge appeal to authority. You see it with social media influencers. They'll say something, they have a large following, and people like latch onto it. And like, it must be
Hmm.
true because why else would he have 1.5 million
Like
followers?
Dr. Mike.
There you go.
Like,
So
how
people
many
have this.
times has he been wrong?
There you go.
Yeah.
It's people's like natural ability. I don't want to say like sheep, but it's like the sheep mentality where you just draw to where other people
Yeah.
are like socially accepted. So you trust those instincts. So when people see like, if I get a personal training certification, I'll know everything because this is what the school, this is like the traditional route, what I should be doing. If I get
Hmm.
this, I know enough to be a personal trainer. I've done everything. I've completed life. I'm a personal trainer now. When
Hmm.
they don't realize like that you're not even scratching the surface of the knowledge you need in order to get someone results. And if you don't even have results yourself, it's like how do you have this ego that you don't need to learn more? So a lot of these personal trainers is like it's ridiculous. How are you going to be a fat personal trainer and then try
Dude,
to
I had a fat personal trainer 3 years ago, and like, I was correcting this guy, and it was like such a weird dynamic to be in.
Yeah, it's like don't I just don't understand the mindset of like this is the career you chose to do. No one, especially with personal training, it's not like you got a gun to your head. Your parents are saying you better be a personal trainer. Like
Mm.
it's something where it's like more taboo. It's like you're kind of doing your own thing. Maybe you even get shit on for trying to do that. So this is your decision to be a personal trainer. Why are you not trying to put your best foot forward and learn as much as possible? Like for me, I don't know why everybody else doesn't think like this, but if I'm doing something, why would I not want to learn about it the most, better than everybody, and be the
Yeah.
best?
Yeah.
But people are very comfortable with, okay, this is a career. Like, a career should be all encompassing. Like you should be passionate about what you're doing to some extent that you're furthering your knowledge every single day. It doesn't have to be like you're watching 5 hour podcasts every single day, but like at least you're doing something to excel your knowledge and not just stay exactly the same. And a lot of these personal trainers, it's just about just the connection aspect with a client where, yeah, they're on the same level as you personally. They're able to have these conversations with you. You like your personal training sessions because you're talking to a friend for like an hour, but then there's no actual results behind the scenes. So it's like you're a glorified friend. You're getting paid to be a friend. So they, I
Yeah.
guess, get at it like that, and then there's no desire to be
Yeah.
wanting to. It's like the minimum effort, the maximum result. Like why do I need to do more work and be better if I'm still getting paid the same? So I think it's like that aspect
Yeah.
too. But it's obviously not how it works. If you learn more and you push yourself out more, you make more, you help more people. But these people have these attitudes where it's like, I'll just do the bare minimum and it's enough because I'm comfortable. I don't know. That's
I
a,
think if you just put, like, let's say you had the same person, you put one with a personal trainer, one with a coach, they could both be consistent. The coach is always going to be better because it's a total, like, it's all encompassing the process. Now you mentioned something about sheep. I'm going to connect it to something that I saw you talked about on your Instagram. Coincidentally, I'm the same. I never really followed sports. I couldn't, like, I was a competitive golfer for quite some years. I played at national level, but then that's what got me into bodybuilding. I never could really watch golf except Tiger Woods' Masters comeback. That was too legendary. Like even Rory, like he was one of my favorite players as a kid. I didn't watch his comeback. Like I just like I can't sit down and watch UFC or go to Buffalo Wild Wings and watch a football. I just never understood the concept because maybe it's extreme, but like I'm like this is something great. These people on the screen, they're amazing. They're the best in the world. I'll just do something of that status myself instead of sitting here and glorifying them from the sidelines. Because it's very interesting. You actually hook your brain into believing that you're winning when you support a team and they win, but you didn't do anything. You sat and had nachos and watched Messi score a free kick, and it's like nothing in
Yeah,
your life changed. And
I don't
maybe
want to
it's
see
extreme.
like
Maybe I'm boring.
I'm the same way, and it's hard because like when you have a lot of these like opinions and the way you think about things, you kind of like come off as like holier than thou. So like you kind of have this disconnect with most people where it's
Mm-hmm.
like I don't mean to like it's not my goal is not to sound condescending and
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so much better than you, but it's just like I've from when I was young, I've just never had this
Yeah.
interest and I just
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I can't relate.
Yeah.
You can watch it all you want. I don't care what you do. Like I'll even sometimes if there's like an event, whatever, I'll go.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
more
I'll never say no if it's in
it's
the.
more about the people I'm with, even like if there's like food, whatever.
Yeah.
Food can be an experience. That can be an experience. I can understand that, but I've never understand that aspect. But yeah, it's
I
funny you say that.
watched my first Super Bowl this year because I was like, I'm almost done graduating. Let me try this like North American gesture, dude. It was so boring. Like, especially when like I don't know, like I
For me
don't
to
know.
be invested in sports, I need to have something on the line. Like I need to have
Yeah,
money on the game or something, and
yeah,
I don't even like doing that because I'm shit at
yeah,
betting. But like I can't casually watch something like that.
yeah. I'll follow bodybuilding a little bit because it's what I love. But after every show, I just try and take away what I learned, what I notice in physiques and stuff. And I use it to like improve my eye. But you can't tell me like the guy who just like worships like Barcelona or like Miami Heat or whatever. I don't even know what's the best basketball team, but like they leave the game like because like have you ever when you leave the cinema after watching a movie and you just get that oh my god like this is it you
You just
know
watch Creed, you start throwing shadow
yeah
box.
yeah like this is it I'm gonna make something of myself but
Yeah,
that's what we formally call supporter syndrome and that leads into and that is also fueled by a very negative sexual habit a lot of people have
yeah,
which is pornography and I think that's one of the worst things too and like it's very interesting how all bad habits and like are kind of interconnected in terms of what's
100%.
underneath all of it like it's interesting do you know John DeMartini?
It doesn't ring a bell.
He's a behavior expert. He's like dyslexic, but his life goal is to like write 1,000 books. Phenomenal guy. And I went to a seminar because my coach did his like workshop. It's called the Breakthrough Experience, and his whole thing is all about like objectivity and how um everything in life is about bringing in balance. And when you bring in balance, that's actually when your brain chemistry reflects that too and he talks about like when we see people when we don't like people it's because they remind us of traits we once had or do have
Yeah, that's crazy.
when we have a fear of losing something it's because we have a fantasy of gaining it and all these things so it's very interesting and at his seminar he was talking to this girl who said he's like what don't you like about yourself and his philosophy on addiction is that addiction the reason people are addicted to something is because they believe both in the short and long term there are more benefits to doing it than not. If you actually got someone addicted to vaping to explain why they vape, you really interrogated them, they'd have way more reasons why they want to do it, what the benefits are. And if I was in their position, I'd understand, right? Like it feels good, everything, and so what? But so his whole thing is objectivity, and there was a girl in the crowd who was addicted to vaping and smoking and then he like dug deeper and he found The main reason was because it was the only way she could connect with her brother, but her and her brother don't have the best relationship, so she would vape also as a way to forget. A lot of these habits are just a way of killing time and forgetting. And that's how the cycle can begin for a lot of people. And I think that just training and eating is the first way out of that, because so many things you automatically can't do. Like if you're vaping, probably have a bad attention span, probably don't sleep well, probably aren't the most healthy physically. And don't get me wrong, I know some crazy athletes who vape and stuff, but to tell me they wouldn't be better without it is false.
Yeah.
So it's like it's very interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of these things, like with the addiction, like you said, it's all one and the same. Like a lot of these reasons stem from the same, and a lot of people, like their vice shows up differently in like how they look, how they act. Like when you look at someone fat, you like a lot of people don't look at them as like an addict, but that is
Yeah,
addict
that is,
in number one form. But it's like a, wouldn't say it's a socially acceptable thing because like you still get shamed in real life if you are fat, especially like in a friend group. But, like more on social media, you kind of see like a more tolerance for being overweight or obese. But it's your behavior with food. It's always going to food for comfort. Like a lot of these people, they're so much in their life that they hate and they just put up with, they tolerate that the next experience that's positive is usually only food. So imagine your life sucks in all aspects. You're so fat that it would take, I don't know how long to lose the weight.
yeah,
So far from that other side of you
yeah.
that to commit to that, you're going to be in pain understanding your current situation for that long. So you're talking about delayed gratification for months. Someone who's ongoing having this addiction daily, multiple times a day, and
For
like these,
probably years.
there you go. And it's their only source of happiness in their life. So you take someone like that where like just eat healthier. It only takes 3 months. You're talking about someone who hasn't had a positive interaction in life other than food for 3 months. Someone who's only had like this is their only thing, and you're taking that away. So like people like latch onto it so much, but it's just this again, it's like delayed gratification. If you just put it off, becoming a person that you respect and you admire, that becomes a lot more rewarding. But a lot of these people are so short-sighted that they'll never stick it out to get to that point. But it's just what's 3 months, you know? But it's a lot for someone like that where you're always in the temporary because you're just pushing off all this
Yeah,
pain with food.
like I started skinny fat, more on the fatter side, but I was never like I wasn't like fat, but like I had fat.
I was the same way.
And I just think that one of the things that really hurt me was getting too serious too quickly. If I just had a simple plan, like just get down to 25 pounds, do 3 months of just putting on some muscle, repeat it, rather than I'm skinny fat, I want to look like, what I look like now. It's just unrealistic. And, even with the, like, actually, there's quite a few fat kids here in Dubai. But because American fast food is a very, just Western food culture is huge here. Like, I'm sure you've seen the Dubai chocolate with like the
Yeah.
pistachio and like that's like our average like sweet here. Like all this hot Cheetos, burger stuff, it all came from this part of the world. It's very interesting because I know some fat people who are just like fat because they're addicted, and some people get addicted because they're busy, and that's the only way. So I wanted to touch on, and I know it's a group of people that you work with, and I also work with. Is how do you work with these busier, older? So let's say me and you are not their coach. They come to us for advice. Hey, I'm busy. I'm working as an exec. I'm working as a construction worker. I'm working as an engineer. I'm working in software. I have my own business. I have my own businesses. I'm a dad. I'm a this. I'm a that. What are the quickest tips you can give for these people to just make the things that will help them get in shape effortless, or at least much less tough than it is and much less intimidating?
So the biggest thing for most people is time management. So when you look at someone who's already like successful, has their own business, there's some aspect of time management that's required within your business. But what I've noticed, which is crazy, because like I'm just starting to get into the business world myself, seeing these people, how they run their businesses, they're never as structured as someone who's like a bodybuilder. There's never that strictness of time management that you would have of like setting an alarm for the next 2 hours that you got to eat a meal, knowing that you're going to train at this exact time, and then this is how you're structuring your day so that you can fit all these meals in. You have
Mm,
your water this part. So, like in some aspects, you look up to these people because they're super successful. They have these businesses, but this aspect of their life, you might think that they have this mastered, this time management skill, but that's the number one thing that holds them back because they think I'm too busy, I can't have this, I'm working too hard. But then if you like scale it back, okay, what does that really mean? To follow this diet, you're not going to be eating like a bodybuilder, number one. You're not eating 6 meals a day as someone who's just like trying to get in shape, like the general health. Maybe 4 meals a day max. So you look at that from the broad scheme. How would you actually do that? You plan ahead of time. You have a portion of the day where you have free time. You make all the meals. You have them all prepped out, and then you have them on the go. You have like a cooler with you, whatever. If you have to eat the meal, you have to eat the meal. That's just how it is. There's no way around it. A lot of people they just want to like think just it should just be super easy. There should be no like I don't have to think about anything, but it's just not like unless you're eating 2 meals a day and you're just thinking about total calories, you just want to lose like general weight and you don't want a certain look. I think that's when you can start thinking of like make healthier choices. Obviously, you can lose some weight, but a lot of these people, it's like they want a complete transformation. Like you said before, it can be hurtful to think like, okay, I want this complete end goal to like be jacked, lean at the same time. But for most people, it's I don't want to say it's not hard to get lean, but it's very simple. And it's something that you can do in a shorter time frame. People are not coming to me like, I don't know, 60 pounds overweight saying I want a six pack. They understand like it's gonna take time, but someone who's maybe a little bit skinny fat, how much time does that actually take to get lean? Like 3 months, maybe?
4 months max.
Yeah. So you're looking at a very short scale. So set like that's a realistic goal, but it's like best bang for your buck. This is a complete transformation. So to do that, what are you really asking of the person? Time management to be able to eat your meals when you're supposed to, plan ahead of time for your busy day. Find 20 minutes of the day. I've timed it before. It takes 20 minutes to prep all your meals. That's it. You have your meals all ready to go. When you got to eat them, you got to eat them. Not, oh, I was on the run, I was busy, so I had to stop at the drive-through, and then I just got. That's how things just slowly like regress, where you just get comfortable. You're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna stop at this burrito place. I'm just gonna get this. It's like that's never gonna be accurate. And if you want something that's like a 3 month goal, just attack it with all your effort. And it's a psychological thing too. Like a lot of people want to approach something from like, what's the easiest way I can do this? And it's not even you're not going to get the best results doing it the easiest way, number one, in anything. But you have to understand from like a psychological perspective when you're entering something with this mindset that you're only going to have to make like this very very small change and there's going to be no adjustment. It's very hard for your brain to latch onto this new habit because it's so similar to your daily life that to revert it's like this much closer to getting that burrito at that place where you're overeating and staying exactly the same rather than like you make that it might seem large for some people that short term okay now I have to actually prep my meals. I'm meal prepping now. That's a bigger jump but just small enough that it's doable but bigger enough that that habit can actually stick because it's different than your current life. So you got to separate yourself as much as possible from your current life and make that jump that is big enough that it's different. That's how I look at it. I don't ever want to make things like as easy as possible. Like, yeah, just go to whatever a restaurant and order this, and then hopefully you're because you're eating Whole Foods.
You can
Hopefully,
only use the alternatives for so long. I think there are more choices that you should use, I don't know, in emergencies, traveling, road trips, whatever. It's like that's when I'll be like, okay, maybe get a rotisserie chicken, or even like a beef jerky or like the protein shake, but you can't live off that stuff. Number one, if you're working with a busier and more successful person, what my first coach, he's only in the lifestyle sector. He's not even in bodybuilding. He works with only these kinds of people, executives and stuff. What he actually gets them to do is like, hey, listen, you're already making good money. Why don't you just hire like a part-time cook in your house for like, I mean, here it's okay, to be fair, it's super cheap here. Like, you and I could pay for it too. Like, we don't have minimum wage here, but it's still like 100, 200 a week, probably somewhere in Canada. Just make twice a day, twice a week, 2 hours of cooking, pay a cook, or even like, I don't know, you can find a service or something. And if you don't have time to cook, that's the alternative, right? That's number
Yeah.
one. Because at the end of the day, even like the healthy stuff, the rotisserie chickens, or, like a low calorie Chipotle bowl or whatever, like, we don't know how much oil is being used in that stuff. We don't know what sugar is in the marinade or this and that. We don't know what's in the salsa. We don't know what's in the sauces. We don't know if this smoothie doesn't have any sugar, even if it may not taste it. Like some places for smoothies to enrich it, they add milk powder.
Yeah.
Milk powder is like 20, 30 calories a tablespoon, and they're not adding that much. They're adding more. Or some places will add like sweet flavoring syrups. Like if you just get like 2, 3 pumps of sugar syrup in Starbucks, that's not like 3, 4 tablespoons. It's like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Just think of how hard they pump it. Imagine that in a tablespoon. It's gonna spill over. Another thing is for these people who they want to get in shape, I think that also giving them less total meals is a good thing because it's just about for them hitting the goal first before optimizing. It's always like do before you try to do rather than try to do and then wait to do.
Hmm.
Because then, what's happening is like they're all excited about this perfect plan, but they haven't even gone halfway, right? It's like you can't just expect to land on the moon like first flight. You have
Yeah.
to first, reach the atmosphere, then this and that. So, same thing. And I think that these people are also very intimidated by the training aspect. But again, you can manipulate your rest times to have a 30-minute session. That also, for this older crowd, they really enjoy bringing their heart rate up, getting a sweat. That's their definition of a good workout. Ours is a pump. We hit our numbers, or we hit like a nasty stretch and a press or pull. For them, it's like it's more
So when even do.
basic definitions. So even for them, they can get a bit more of a circuit type workout, which is still going to add muscle and improve their heart health. You know, it's very interesting how people neglect hypertrophy training, even if they're not trying to get big, because I personally believe it's more beneficial for health than just spamming and abusing cardio. Especially if you're doing high intensity cardio, you are going to lose some muscle in your frame because most of the people who do high intensity cardio recreationally and they're older don't have a very well versed understanding of nutrition. So they're not able to always offset the negative things that come from it. And I think the perfect combination is different types of cardio, different types of weight training. But to say either or is bad or unnecessary, I think is not right.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it all comes down to like your attitude going into it. Like a lot of people, they have like this 1 foot in, 1 foot out mentality. Like, yeah, I want to lose the weight, but they're not 100% like mentally committed to it yet. So it's like you'll have like the reasonable diet in place for them, the reasonable training where like you'll celebrate their wins for even showing up, but they're not on the same page. Like I find as a coach sometimes like you're wanting the goal a lot more for them than they do
Yes.
themselves.
Yes.
So it's like you're chasing them constantly. You're
Yeah.
pouring in all this energy and effort, but it all comes down to like how bad they want it in the first place. Like
Yeah.
I've had clients that I've worked with in the past, same plan, same everything. The first time they approach it from a different mindset, they're like, "Yeah, this is something I should be doing. Yeah, like I'll when I'm busier, like I'll do this, I'll do this." But then they're not on board yet. There's not enough pain that there's an actual desire to change. It's just like something they know they should be doing, but it's not. doesn't really bother them yet too much. So there's no pain there. As opposed to that same person comes back however long later where this pain is built up so much longer. It's like, I'm so sick of being fat. I'm so sick of having comments about my weight. I'm seeing people I know lose weight. The the respect that they're starting to get, how people are treating them differently. I'm so sick of where I currently at. Now the mental has changed. Now they're actually on board and ready to follow along with something that will actually benefit them. So even with that person, like you could try to optimize as much as possible for something to be so minimal and the barrier to entry be so low for them to get results. But even that person, how they act and their mental state in that moment, you can make just the tiniest jump and they still wouldn't make it. As opposed to that same person, when their pain is a lot more, you can go balls to the wall, say, you're going to eat 6 meals a day. You're going to do everything. You're going to train like a bodybuilder from week one. As long as their mental is aligned with that, I think like that person will always follow the plan, always check in on time, always send their meals, always have perfect communication because they actually want the goal. But a lot of these people, it's like this, here, I'll pay for coaching. It's just like this, like
Yeah, and at that point, you're
positive
chasing them.
reinforcement that they're doing something that's positive in the right direction, and they're taking that as a win by hiring a coach,
Yeah,
not taking it as a win to actually make the change. So it's like they get this positive reinforcement and be
yeah.
like a
If
talking
anything,
stick.
it should hurt a bit when you get a coach, and
Exactly.
then you start to.
It's constantly like your ego gets hammered because like you're uncovering all this pain that you hid away for so long.
Yeah,
So it's always like, do you want to use coaching and investing your money towards this to lose the weight as like a talking point so that you can feel better about yourself in like a social aspect? Or are you approaching it from like almost like a private thing? Like this is so painful. I don't even want to share this with anybody else. I'm gonna put my head down and this is what I want. I'm gonna get this done. And then I'm gonna come up on the other side and take a breath for air. And that's when I'm gonna start, this is what I'm doing. And then you already had the result. So it's all about at the end of the day, everything is about the mind. The mind has to come first before all these actions. You have to be aligned with your goals before you even start. What's this guy?
yeah. And the biggest thing is whenever you're chasing this person, you're chasing them so hard and putting in so much effort that you even forget about the money aspect. You're just like, I don't like why is this guy renewing? You know?
Honestly, when that stuff happens, like I don't know if you can relate, but like you feel like a failure as a coach
Yeah,
because
of
like
course,
why
because
can't I get
your mentality is like I want to turn like the worst possible guy into the best guy.
yeah. So it's like it's almost I wouldn't say it's honestly, maybe it's as painful as like the coach to see their client not follow the plan because they don't even look at it as some type of way. That's why they're
Yeah,
able to, because there's a lack of respect for the coach. They don't
yeah.
care about the consequences. So it's like, yeah, I cheated again this week. I don't really
Hmm.
care. So it's like it's almost more painful for the coach because number one, your credibility is kind of it gets tarnished. Doesn't matter. You can't say, oh, yeah, the client was an idiot.
Not
So
everyone's gonna believe that.
even that, it's just like you always
Yeah,
want to be able to give your best foot forward, and then
yeah.
to see that you're doing as much as you possibly can, and then someone is not just not willing to put in that the work. It kind of hurts because it's
Hmm.
almost like I don't know. You can see it as like a personal loss.
Yeah,
Like you want to help this person so bad and you failed. It's
yeah,
kind of how I see it. But you shouldn't look at that. You can't help everybody. They have
yeah.
to get to that point mentally
But
where you
it's
actually
good
want
to
to.
approach with the mentality that you should try to transform everyone in every way possible. Now, one subject we talked about earlier, just to go back on training, is just the only one I want. I'm curious what you think, if you've implemented it in your training or not. The rib cage compression stuff. Have
Oh
you
yeah.
noticed a difference personally?
So I've been doing it on. I haven't done it on like flat pressing. I only have one movement that's a flat press. But on like my incline flies and um, I do like a hammer strength incline press.
Yeah.
So I notice on that when I completely stand completely upright, my pelvis is over my
Mm.
or my rib cage is over my pelvis, and I'm completely straight. I'm a little bit retracted. I'm not like all the way back here,
Hmm.
and I just stay in that position it feels a lot better. Like I've noticed, and
Hmm.
then it's not even strength hasn't dropped off too much. Switching to this kind of style of training, still
Yeah.
push like heavy weight, but like the pump and the stretch, the contraction is night and day.
Yeah. I
On flat,
felt it
I'm
too.
still trying to play around with that. It's a
Yeah.
little more awkward, feeling a lot more like strength drop off, trying
Yeah.
to adjust with
Because
flat.
on flat, it hurts your leg drive a bit more, I think.
Yeah,
It's like hard to, because you're always using something to elevate your feet, and because you're using something to elevate, you can't really drive into it, or else
yeah,
it'll like slip or something.
yeah. It's also like a certain the way I look at it as I like learning and experimenting, but then it's also like you see certain bodybuilders been training for a certain period of time where they're complete meatheads and they still get results. So it's like training is important, but it's not the most important factor. So it's like you can optimize for these things like in places, but then at a certain point, it's like I'm not bringing this pad around with me every single exercise I go to. But like I'll do it on some,
Yeah.
but it's like a trade-off.
Yeah.
Like I want to be a meathead for these couple sets, but then like okay, I'll back away, be a little bit smart about this.
I think the
Enjoyment.
most important thing of training is the dosage. If you get the dosage right, you can mess up quite a lot of things.
Yeah,
But I think, yeah, I 100% agree. I have this similar approach where it's like mix some things around. Like I'm very old school for some of my body parts. Like I only do mainly dumbbells for my arms. I don't do any cable work. I've just always liked it that way. My favorite upper pec movement right now for a while has been incline barbell press, just free weight. I'm so tired of setting up the Smith every time, making sure the bench is in the right spot, and gets annoying, man. But
yeah. I think the longer you've been training, you kind of like you realize what works, and then you can
yeah,
step away from like these perfect setup
you
movements.
make your own rules in a way,
Yeah, and
which
try to
is
like
nice.
optimize as much as possible with the least amount of equipment required.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like on certain things, I used to do like these overhead, not overhead. I used to do skull crushers, but I used to load up like an easy bar with those adjustable plates, so it's kind of like
yeah,
a hassle because I used to go heavier than the easy bars.
yeah.
And to get into a position where the weight, like I never started from the ground up, so I'd start from behind and I'd have to bring over like this preacher curl free weight machine and I would rack it on this rack so that I could have an easy startup.
Uh-huh, okay.
You're using like a flat bench, then you're using the easy bar, then you have to load the plates, and you have
Yeah.
this curl you're starting from. So it's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that exercise, but when you're in the moment and you're training, it's just like I want to go to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. It's like this
And you
setup it
cause
might
quite some
be
chaos
longer,
for
but
other
there's like this
people at
mental
the gym.
fatigue.
Yeah, and it annoys other people at the gym sometimes.
Yeah,
Like it's like a gym etiquette thing. Like
yeah,
it's like maybe the single arm bench pull down feels great. I'm not setting that up, dude.
you know.
Like, like is it really gonna be that different if I just do it on the pull down station and just slightly sit back? Like, is it really gonna make that much of a difference? Like again, it's a dose, right? You do a bunch of pull downs, sprinkling in one lower lat neutral spine bias pull is not going to change the world. So
I think it's just always a balance of enjoyment, practicality, and the result you actually get from it. Those
yeah,
three, balancing them, you're never optimizing 100% for enjoyment.
yeah,
If you're just doing enjoyment, then you'd optimize for, okay, maybe that single arm, whatever, is the best feeling in the world. But then you have to think about, like, I got to walk all the way down the gym, grab the bench, bring it over, be in other people's way, be annoying to other people, and then having to, like, go back and forth, move the bench. So then that takes away from the enjoyment of the actual, like, when you're in the movement. So then the practicality's down. So it's
hmm,
balancing through, like the perfect level where you settle for what you said. You go on the pull down, maybe
yeah,
you lean side, and that's good enough.
yeah. And
Even with machines, like I've stepped away from that stuff too. Like you're doing,
like, love the best feeling is when you find a pin loaded machine you like, because then you just save so much time. You know what seat number you put, whatever. Yeah, I mean, well, I guess we'll start to wrap some things up unless you have any final thoughts or anything. So I'm just
I
gonna
think that's
click.
great.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop recording now and then just stay on so it uploads. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Pleasure having you, by the way. Very glad we did this. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Of course, bro.
Yeah, and I always enjoy like having more of a conversation than an interview because like
I think that was good.
it's how you give the most value to people, right?
100%.
Yeah, I'll just click stop and upload.